welcome back to Tom's Comedy Club. And welcome to a brand new episode of Joking Apart, the amazing podcast where I talk to different comedians about what it's like being a comedian. We shall crack straight onto this glorious interview. So today, I'm doing a glorious interview with the comedian best known for being a comedian and for doing loads of sketches on YouTube and singing the theme tunes to TV shows because why not? It's one and only Tom Little.
Hello.
So let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into the wonderful world called comedy?
Right. First of all, nice to meet you, Tom. As I started comedy initially, I wanted to write sitcom scripts. So I think I started that around 2012. But I wrote some scripts and tried to send them to people. But I found that a bit frustrating because I couldn't. You'd spend a lot of time writing something and then probably not even hear anything back. It was hard to get people to read them.
Yeah.
So that made me want to do stand-up just because that was a more immediate thing. Instead of just spending months writing a script to send it to an email to maybe hear back, maybe not hear back. You just go on stage and do the joke straight away. So that was why I wanted to do stand-up. So I did my first gig in 2013. It went very badly. I don't mind admitting it was terrible. But I kept doing it and started to enjoy it and got better at it. And then just kept doing stand-up for ages. Then by about 2019 though, I felt like I got a bit stuck with stand-up. That I didn't know. I was just sort of doing the same level of gigs all the time and not really progressing. Didn't know really what I was doing. So then I started making little videos online, just for something to do, to see what that would be like. That was the end of 2019. Then suddenly it was oh well, this is what I'm doing now. So then I just started making more videos online. Then then started doing stand-up again, and trying to do the two of them. So that's me.
And so, what was the comedy circuit like when you joined it?
Good. I mean, I started in Manchester. So the main difference, I think, between then and now, this was in about nearly 10 years ago, is that there weren't as many open mic gigs in Manchester as there are now. So you had to be always going outside of Manchester. There were a few gigs in Manchester, but you're always traveling around the northwest. You're always gigging in Preston or Bolton or somewhere. So that was a bit different. I get the impression now newer acts can just gig in Manchester. So that was just a small difference. I don't know how significant that was.
And how when you made those theme tune videos, which I think are the greatest videos on the internet, how did you come up? How did you come up with the lyrics? Did you spend ages writing them, or did you just press record and just come up at the top of your head?
Yeah, the first one I did. Well, the actual first one I did was Doctors. I added lyrics to the theme tune to Doctors. The reason I did that was because when I'd seen Doctors on telly, well, actually, what it was, I play guitar and I was just messing around on my guitar and just accidentally played the Doctors theme tune without realizing. I was just playing some notes and that's familiar. What's that? Oh, it's Doctors. But then I thought it's weird how the Doctors theme tune sounds just like a backing track. It doesn't really. It doesn't really have a melody. It's just chords going. So then I just made up a silly song to go over the top of that. Thought that was funny. But then I decided I'd do a few of them, and Doctors seemed a weird one to start with because no offense to Doctors, it's a bit niche. I thought I'll start big with Coronation Street. And then with that one, I did just write the lyrics straight away. And to me, it seemed funny how little thought I'd put into the lyrics. That it seemed funny that it didn't rhyme. Or, that I'd put more effort into filming myself doing it than I'd put into thinking what the lyrics were.
Yeah.
That's it. Like it is so rubbish and so ridiculous. Why have you uploaded this to the internet? But that was the joke. So initially, I did them really quickly. The grandstand video, which was my most popular one, that again, I think when I started putting them online, I asked people for suggestions, what theme tunes they said I should do. Grandstand was the most popular suggestion. So I just watched that and then thought of it really quickly. The joke, if people haven't seen it, was that I just described what was happening in the opening title sequence. And again, not bother to make it rhyme. Put no thought into it. So it really, I would guess it was maybe only like between like half an hour and an hour thinking about it, and then filming myself doing it.
Yeah.
And then putting it online. So not a lot of time at all. And it's ironic how much time you spend in stand-up.
Yeah.
Driving to a gig, doing the same joke over and over again. You feel like you spend months of your life calling one-liner.
Yeah.
And then you do something really quickly on the internet with not much thought, and that's much more popular than anything you put any effort into. Then we've been. I'm gonna treat this. It's my life now. I'm going to make as much effort as I can. So then I put more thought into them, but I don't think the more thought, more effort I put into them didn't really make any difference. It was just if you had the initial idea, you either felt inspired by something and it happened really easily, or it didn't put more effort and didn't seem to make that much difference. The only one, the Murder, She Wrote one I did, I can't remember how much thought I put into the lyrics, but I know I did spend a fair bit of time editing the video.
Yeah.
I filmed myself singing the song and then edit it in. And that one I did spend like all day making my face appear at different points in the screen. And that did seem worth it, but it made it better. But the A-Team, and that was the one that broke me, because I knew I wanted to do the A-Team. People were suggesting the A-Team, but I just couldn't think of anything funny to say about the A-Team that wasn't, partly because I've never seen the A-Team, so I'm just guessing off the theme tune. But I couldn't really think of any joke that didn't feel like the same joke I'd already made in a different theme tune, and the theme tune itself is a bit complicated.
Yeah.
So I felt I had to put a lot of more thought into how to write words that fit, even though I never wanted to put any thought into it. I always wanted to be quick. So the A-Team was the one where I felt I've put too much effort into this that I have no idea. I've lost all sense of why this was funny. If you watch the A-Team one back, you can see it in my eyes that I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It's stopped being a book to me now. I'm taking it way too seriously.
I really like the Blockbusters one.
Thank you. Yes. Trying to think.
Because it really does look like it could be a science fiction show.
Yeah, again, I think that was the idea with that one. Having something to say. It's not just that the theme tune was good; it was having some joke to make about it. And just seeing the opening credits for Blockbusters does look weirdly sci-fi for a game show. It looks too exciting. So I'm just trying to think. Well, so I think when I watched that and watched the opening credits, I probably had that idea quite quickly, I think. And again, that's the joke for this one. So.
And so you're planning to do any more of them? Because I would love you to do a countdown one. That would be hilarious.
Countdown. I do have an idea for countdown, and I haven't done them for ages. I think I did the last one in it must have been 2021 at the latest. I'm not sure. I probably should do more. I need to make the effort. It's yeah, countdown's an idea I had. Casualty as well. I never did Casualty.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, because if you did Casualty, you could take the mickey out the fact that the Charlie Fairhead never looks at anyone when he's talking. Because I recently found out, someone said to me, it looks like he's reading the script from off the screen.
All right. Yeah.
He walks up to him and has a conversation, but he's looking that way, and they're looking at him. So they're never look. He's never looking at anyone.
Yeah.
He used to when he was younger, in the earlier episodes, like series 2 and series 1. He looked at them, eye contact, but now he just looks off. He looks like away from. He doesn't even look at the camera. He looks next to the camera.
Yeah. I think apparently Marlon Brando, I think, would do that in films once he was big enough to, he didn't have to learn his lines. So I think when he's, I don't know how true this is, but I'm sure I've heard that when he was filming Apocalypse Now and stuff, he was just reading the cards. So maybe Charlie from Casualty is a big enough deal now. When he was new, he had to learn the lines. Now he thought, I'm not reading this.
And so, not only have you become internet famous by singing lyrics, and even when the theme's in 3 seconds, like The Good Place, what was it like creating your own sitcom for YouTube? Because your YouTube sitcom is better than any YouTube sitcom I've ever seen.
Thank you. My YouTube thing, it's just new. It's just coming out now, and I was really lucky because it wasn't just me who made it. We made it got to make it with a production company. So there's about 30 people worked on it in total, which was a huge deal for me. It was a real privilege to work on something like that, and it does obviously make the show better. It's a lot better than something I could have just filmed on my phone. It really, I think it feels like television standard because it was filmed with a proper camera and the sound tech and a lot of people working on it. So and it's all edited together properly by people who know what they're doing, not by me. So all the videos I made myself feel very homemade, and that's part of the joke. But this feels proper. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And do you reckon that the sitcom will ever get picked up by like Amazon Prime or by a Netflix?
I don't think. I think what we've made, Don't Overthink It. It's on YouTube now. The first episode. I don't know how Amazon Prime and all them work, but I don't think that they'll buy something that's already on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll buy that exactly, but the hope with this is we've made this thing to prove that we can make this thing, and we want to show this to other people in the hope that they might ask us to make something else.
Yeah.
So Don't Overthink it. It's just for YouTube. It's free to watch now, but the hope is that we'll get asked to do something else.
Yeah. Well, I found out not so long ago that you can upload your own thing to Amazon Prime yourself.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I don't know what the pros and cons of that are, because I think it obviously sounds better, but it's maybe hard to get people to watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, and so when you're doing comedy, when you're doing the good old art form of stand-up, you spend months and months and years sitting at your desk, banging your head against the wall, writing the jokes, or do you do a Billy Connolly and walk on and say something, and then either people laugh or don't laugh, and you never say anything again, or you say it there, and then the next gig you can't remember what you've just said at that gig because you've been driving and listening to Elton John.
I think I'm in the middle of those two extremes. I don't really make stuff up on stage much. I know what I'm going to say, but I don't sit at a desk for hours to write stand up either. I know, like I've been reading like a book interviews of comedians recently, and like American comedians like Jerry Seinfeld, and they all seem to pride themselves on, he'll see his desk for like 3 hours a day every day, and then you think, but you also do the same material every night for years, and you only do an hour. So what do you do with all this material you apparently write every day? I find most of once I had some material to start with, I found that all my best jokes, it seemed to be stuff that I would just think of when I was in my car, or when I was immediately after gig, or when I was just in the shower, or when I was going for a walk, something. I just have an idea without really making an effort. the more effort I put in, the worse it was. Paradoxically, in terms of writing jokes, I think so I'm not disciplined with stand up. With writing a script like this sitcom, obviously I did have to write that. And sit at the desk and write that. But with stand up, I just find if I don't worry too much about it, I'll just gradually have ideas.
Yeah.
And then I'll be at a new material gig, and I'll think and I'll remember, and I think, well, I don't want to say old stuff. What's the thing I can say? And the idea, and I'll just remember a thing I thought of earlier. It won't just come to me on stage, usually, but I'll have a rough idea of something, and then that'll turn into something. Occasionally, if I'll have like a rough idea for a subject, and then I will think of a line on stage when I'm doing it. Like for example, I've got a new bit at the moment about Lynx Africa deodorant, which I won't do because it's new. But I just mentioned Lynx Africa on stage in a different routine, and then that made me think straight away of something else about Lynx Africa that I'd thought of before, but never thought could be material. And then suddenly it was, and then I had a new joke. So that was, a rare example of coming up with something live on stage that worked. So that was good. So I don't sit for hours writing stand up, but I don't make it up on the spot either. It's a balance.
And one thing that you're going to be doing in August is the Edinburgh Fringe. So what is your Edinburgh Fringe show about, and where can people see it, and where can people buy tickets?
Yeah, my Edinburgh Fringe show is that I'm there for the full run. I do the Edinburgh Fringe for the full run every year. They said every month. I would if I could. I'd love to. But every August. I'm on at 5 p.m. at Subway, which I have to tell people is the name of a nightclub on Cowgate and not the sandwich place. And I have to say this to everyone I meet. And I always say, because it's so believable that the Subway sandwich place will be a venue at the Edinburgh Festival. That's within the realms of possibility. But so when I tell people I'm at Subway, people genuinely look concerned because they believe that I am, or they don't look concerned and just think I'm terrible. And yeah, that's where you belong, Tom. So that's but no, Subway's a nice room. It's on Cowgate, so I'm happy to be there. And at 5 p.m. I do my show with the PBX Free Fringe, which means there aren't any tickets. It's just free to get in.
Yeah.
And then I have a bucket on the door where I ask people for money. Yeah. So you don't have to buy tickets, but do bring a load of money to give me at the end. That's the
yeah. And does this nightclub or just a club, I'm going to use a better term because you're not really performing it at night, do they serve sandwiches as well?
I don't know, unfortunately, but I if people really want sandwiches, I will get some. I will, I will do my best to have some sandwiches ready for anyone who needs one.
So hopefully you can all go and enjoy the Edinburgh Fringe show and not get lost going to a Subway, because really, they're too small. A proper Subway is too small. You can't fit a stage in a Subway.
No,
you can't. And another thing you're going to be doing that I don't know what stage it's at, so you can probably tell me. The cast is announced. What's the new? It's not you're in it, but it's written by Sean Walsh. I think it's called Rowan. What's Rowan about, if you can say?
Oh, I don't know what I can say about Rowan. It's obviously that's Sean Walsh's thing, not my thing. But I think I'd say the idea is that Sean Walsh he was called Rowan in it. He's playing a therapist. That's his character. And I'm playing his best mate in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening with that. Obviously, sitcoms take a lot of time in development and all that sort of thing. So I don't really know what's going on there. But what happened was Sean just messaged me and told me he'd written a sitcom and was doing a reading in front of an audience, which was cool to do. Because obviously, most sitcoms now aren't filmed in front of an audience. Like apart from like Mrs. Brown's voice, now he feels quite old fashioned.
Yeah.
But it's good to do the material in front of an audience anyway, to hear what works, hear the response there. So we did Angel Comedy Club. And yeah, that was just a lot of fun to do. People didn't really like it. So it's just a case now of hearing what happens. Yeah.
And so, are you excited for this? Because I think it would make your career go from here to there.
Yeah. But that's all up in the pipeline. Is that an expression? Up in the air. I don't know. It's wait and see what happens. Yeah.
And so, what's your aspirations with your career? Where do you want to go with you? What is like the dream job in the world of comedy that you want?
I don't know, Tom, really, to be honest. I think the first thing I wanted to do in comedy was write sitcom scripts. Then once I started stand up, I enjoyed performing more than I thought I would. I thought I'd only writing was the thing I wanted to do, but I found I enjoyed performing. And then for a while I was only interested in doing stand up. Really, I just wanted to do stand up.
Yeah.
But in the last few years, I started to enjoy. Well, first of all, I started to enjoy filming my songs and sketches online. I enjoyed that for a while. But then what I'm doing now is I'm really liking working with other people. So making Don't Overthink It or doing the reading with Sean, that was really exciting. So now I suppose I'm just trying to figure out myself how to do more of that sort of thing. So trying to figure out a way to get someone to give me some money, so that not to sound mercenary, but so that I can make something a bit more, like Don't Overthink It, like something ambitious that involves other people rather than just something on my phone, or hopefully get asked to work on other people's things, like acting or something. So I don't really have any ambitions that long term. I just want to keep doing comedy stuff and making stuff. So I suppose like the dream would be like a sitcom, on telly that's half-hour episodes. That's about it, isn't it? That's every comedian's dream, surely. That's not an original thing to say.
And so I'm hesitant to say this, but sometimes the British Comedy Guide sometimes accidentally I had this with Ted Hill merge the two
Right.
people, because sometimes like there's two Ted Hills and they don't and they overlap in the sense they've done comedy, but one's a producer and one's a stand-up. So so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what was it like executive producing a film?
Yes, I have no idea what that is.
So is that another British Comedy Guide error?
It must. I would think. Unless it must be. I think unless one of the sketches I made has somehow been credited with me as the executive producer, but it seems more likely that there's another Tom Little somewhere.
Yeah, well, when I was looking at the British Comedy Guide to double check some facts, because I'm the owner of a lot of knowledge, but I have to double check names and things because I might either mispronounce it or missay it. So it's sometimes helpful. So I've got it up here. And it says, if I can find it. It says. It says you were He says he was the executive producer on a film called K-Shot.
No, that definitely wasn't me. No.
From 2016.
Sounds good though. I know there is a boxer called Tom Little who's about the same age as me as well. And I feel like we lead very parallel lives. Like he's the sort of
Well, that's K-Shot.
no, I don't remember executive producing that, but it looks
Well-
good anyway, whatever it is.
Well, you can put that on your CV.
Yeah. There is also an Australian comedian called Tommy Little, and I think he is like properly famous in Australia. He seems like he's Australia's Russell Howard or something. It seems like a big deal.
Yeah.
So this is true. Sometimes I've turned up at gigs, and the promoters just Google Tom Little, sort of picture of the Australian, and put his picture on the post. And at least twice, and I know this sounds like a joke, but it's true. At least twice in Edinburgh, people have come to see me thinking that I'm the Australian guy. People have just looked at the profile and thought, "Oh, Tommy Little, Russell Howard, the Australian Russell Howard has come to perform in a basement in Edinburgh for free."
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so going to a credit that is real, because it's more likely to be real. What was it like working on the seminal classic that used to be on Radio 7 before it turned into 24 Extra, Newsjack?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm surprised that's credited somewhere, but with Newsjack, it was just an open submission thing, where you could send in jokes yourself in the hope, and that was like one of the first things. Before I started that, before I did stand up, when I was trying to write sitcom scripts, that was one of the ways you could get people to read what you'd written.
Yeah.
So I sent some jokes into that. I remember the first sketch I wrote that was broadcast, and that was before I'd done stand up or anything. So that was like the first time I'd heard laughs or something I'd written. That was really exciting. So that was really good. How Newsjack would work is that anyone could submit jokes, just email them in. But they also had contract writers, they called them, where you get asked to go into an office at the BBC, and then you'd sit and talk about the news and write in the office on that day. And I got asked to do that once. So I was there, and I suggested some ideas for sketches in the meetings and wrote them, and not one of them was used. So I was heartbroken, as you can imagine. So I did get some stuff on Newsjack, but I wasn't the best at it. I got, and when I was in the meeting as well, I could tell that a few of the people around the table just sort of knew how to find the joke in a news story straight away. Whereas with me, if I have an idea for something that I like, and I know how to build it, a lot of time I can just look at something and think I can't see anything funny, or I can only see something obvious that's too obvious to seem funny to me. I can't think of anything original, but other people can just do that as if by magic. So I think there are different types of comedy writing that suits some people more than others. I think it's one thing at the time it was annoying because that was one of the only ways to get noticed from comedy writing at the time, was writing topical jokes about the news. It seemed that seemed to be the only way. If you want, no matter what kind of comedy you wanted to write, you had to learn how to write topical jokes about the news first. That's the first thing you do. But I don't think that's as true anymore. I think there are more. I think the last open submission Radio 4 show wasn't strictly about the news at all. You could submit anything. I can't think what that was.
There's
I
one
can't
in,
think what it was called, but
there's one in common called DMs are open.
DMs are open. Yeah, that's like the equivalent of Newsjack now, where you don't need to be writing about the news. I think you can write about other things, so that's sort of more flexible.
Yeah.
So that and also as well, social media, TikTok, Twitter, and that can be a bigger deal than writing radio things. Sometimes, obviously, it's great to have like an official proper
Yeah.
credit. That's great, but at the same time, I remember once in 2020 while I was trying to write for Newsjack, I I saw a video on Twitter of a young conservatives, and I did a parody video of that just because I saw something funny in that. That while trying to write for Newsjack, I saw something about the news that was funny, but I at the same time thought, but this isn't going to work as a script. It needs to be me doing it. I can say it doesn't need to be me, but it's all in the delivery. It's not that funny written down on paper. So I made the video myself, and that did quite well on Twitter, and I got some followers from that, and people still occasionally will say they like that video. So and I don't think I got anything on Newsjack that week, or possibly even that series. So I suppose the moral of the story there was that even though I wasn't good at the Newsjack, I would have rather had the video do well on Twitter.
Yeah.
Myself, because that ended up being more useful.
And do you reckon since writing for Newsjack, do you reckon you've like improved? Not saying that you weren't very good writing them, but do you reckon you've improved over time and you've learned where you think you've gone wrong or elements you could improve on to make your scripts like even better than they already are?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind saying, Tom, that a lot of the stuff I've written will have been rubbish as well. I don't mind saying that. I definitely think you get better at writing. I think a big problem for me with like Newsjack or something was just not being able to think of anything funny to say, just feeling blank. And I think that becomes less of a problem the more you do it. You sort of I don't know, you start to noticing things more quickly, or you sort of recognize patterns in other people's jokes, and you think, oh, this is the kind of joke someone else would make. And that's the thing I noticed. You kind of think, oh, you have an idea for a joke that it doesn't make you laugh because you've thought of it, so it's sort of it's too obvious to you. And then you think, oh, that's the kind of joke a rubbish comedian would make. a rubbish comedian makes the kind of obvious jokes.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, actually, that rubbish comedian is doing better than me. So maybe he's not that rubbish after all. Maybe. I think a lot of comedians when they start will be like a bit more meta about it. Like I'm not actually making this joke. I'm making it ironically because I know it's such a bad joke. But actually, it's an okay joke if you deliver it with conviction. That's all right. So yeah, I think that's what was I talking about. That was basically. I think writing gets easier as you develop. Newsjack and certainly my own sitcom scripts. I think if I went back and read through them, I wouldn't find very much that I thought was good. To be completely honest with myself, I think yeah.
And when you write in your sitcom, this is like going even deeper than ever before. Do you write them? Do you write your scripts with a pen and a paper, or do you use a certain software that already formulates it into the professional format?
I just use Microsoft Word. Yeah. Standard like that. I know there is like the professional screenwriting software, like Final Draft, I think it's called, but I don't actually know what it does. I don't know how that's different from Word.
What it does is it automatically So it says that you have a lot of commands it has on the computer,
Hmm.
and so you like got Command C, and it shifts everything to a character, and you type in your character, then press enter, and it automatically put where you put your dialogue. So when you like printing it out or showing whoever else, it's already in the professional format, and you haven't spent ages pressing spacebar to get everything into the middle to get everything look correct.
All right, yeah, that sounds good, but I'm still just spending ages pressing the tab button to do the margins that way.
Yeah. And do you reckon that with the sitcom, do you reckon each episode of the sitcom is better than the other one, or do you reckon that you've learned throughout the years script writing, you've learned so much that every episode is at the same high quality standard?
I like to think that I like to think they're all masterpieces. Obviously, I think, but I think it inevitably, if you make a few things, you're going to think one's slightly better than the others. I think just because they're different, I think you're going to have a favorite. With Don't Overthink It, I think I do like all of them. I think they're all good. But what I like in the others is often what someone else did.
Yeah.
So I like my favorite thing in most of them isn't me. It's one of the other actors, or it's a line that was suggested by directors Ben Sutton and Charlie Dinkin. Would suggest some lines. I know that the one I'm funniest in is episode 7. That's the bit where that's the best bit of me.
Yeah.
So that's for I like that one, but I do like all the others. But yeah, they're all different as well. So I suppose it's inevitable you like one.
Yeah.
More than these.
Yeah. Where can people watch Don't Overthink It, and when is it? What time of day and which day is each episode premiering on the good old Pulped YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's on youtube.com/getpulped. Pulped is a channel that makes like lots of sketches and videos and stuff like that. And I did 2 sketches with Pulped last year, which is what led to being able to do Don't Overthink It. So there's lots of stuff on there. So please do subscribe to. And first one is out. Episode 1 is out already. They're supposed to come out every Thursday at 8 a.m. I don't know why they released at 8 a.m. But no, I don't know. But I checked. So episode 2 should have come out today, and it's not out yet. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, I was like, no, I want more.
Yeah. Any minute now, hopefully. Yeah, it's supposed to be every Thursday.
Yeah.
So by the time people see this podcast, episode 2 should be out.
Yeah, and so for anyone that hadn't seen episode 1, there will be a slight spoiler. But what is your favourite flavour of crisps?
My favourite flavour of crisps. Well, I have a stand-up routine about salt and pepper flavour crisps. So I have told audiences in the past my favourite flavour is salt and pepper. But that's partly just to make the joke work. If I'm to be full disclosure, I sometimes bend the truth in stand-up. As a kid, I would have said salt and vinegar every time. Would be my favourite flavour. As I'm getting older, I find my tastes are changing, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a universal thing. I'm finding I'm eating more cheese or cheese and onion flavour now. But if there's ever like a novelty flavour, I'll always go mad for that. I was in Aldi the other day, and they were doing cheeseburger flavour. Yeah, and like buffalo chicken wings or something. American style.
Yeah.
Yeah. but these went these was like Aldi's own brand.
Yeah.
Cheeseburger flavor. It seemed very fancy. So obviously I'd rush out and buy them. But, they're good for the change for the novelty. But yeah, if I had to put just one flavor forever,
Yeah.
I suppose these.
Yeah. There's a nice Christmas dinner crisps were tasteless. They didn't taste. The Marmite ones were instead of them being the yellowy thing that they normally are, they were they were see-through black.
Really?
Yeah, they were see-through black. And
Yeah.
they were gorgeous.
I don't like Marmite though, so I don't think I'd.
I've never had Marmite, so I didn't know if I didn't like Marmite. I just ate them.
Yeah. Well.
Blissfully unaware.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, do you think there'll be a second series of Don't Overthink It?
I don't. I've no idea. Obviously, with because Pulp make a lot of sketches and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I've been very lucky in that they've given a fair amount of their budget to just me. So I do feel very grateful for that. I imagine they want to make stuff with other people as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But more so than make more, don't overthink it. As I think me and the production company, Daddy Super Yacht is the production company, want to just make something. I think rather than thinking don't overthink it is a pilot for more episodes of that. It's just showing what we can do, and hope we get asked to do something of this sort of style.
Yeah,
that might be like different characters in different situations, but this kind of style, this kind of jokes.
Yeah,
that's.
And do you reckon this seems like a rare thing to happen? But obviously, Richard Herring's done it once before, with because it was released on GoFastStripe.com. But do you reckon Don't Overthink It will ever get some form of physical media release, whether or not it's a digital download? Well, that's not really physical media. Whether or not it's a DVD or a novelty VHS.
Oh, I don't. I think if I put it on VHS myself, maybe. Yeah, I've no idea about that, Tom. I don't think. I'm surprised when the big blockbuster movies even get a physical release anymore. I don't know who's buying DVDs. It seems.
Well, I still.
I suppose you are. You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know. I don't know if there will. I'd like to think that Don't Overthink will be so huge there will be enough demand for, for a physical release. But as I can't even believe there's enough demand for like Marvel movies to have a physical release. Although rationally I know that there is, I can't get my head around how. It's hard for me to imagine a world where that would happen. But it'd be very nice.
Well, one day every YouTube sitcom will be released on DVD. Apart from mine, because I did it all by myself. I created a sitcom that was sort of bizarre and weird all at the same time, because I then generated a song that I released on Bandcamp as part of the sitcom, and then did a terrible music video as an episode of the sitcom, because it was all about him failing at everything he was doing.
Yeah. That sounds great too.
And so I spent the one of the episodes was like 27 minutes, and it's chopped up several times because it's me running over, stopping the camera, trying to get my equipment to work because my music equipment weren't working, then turning it back on again, then whittering on, then running back over. And so it's just a chop and change of me just getting more and more frustrated as this voice changes ever so slowly because I couldn't recreate the same voice. Yes. So, how did the idea of your sitcom come about? Where did this idea first come from?
Well, as I say, we did 2 sketches. Me and Daddy Super Yacht, production company, we did 2 sketches for Pulp last year. One of those sketches was it was an idea I had that actually was a stand-up routine initially, but it was the idea of if you buy something in a shop and you're getting like a penny change.
Yeah.
It seemed I feel ridiculous standing there and waiting to be given 1 penny. So the idea was that I'm not worried whether is it more embarrassing if you just stand there and wait for the penny, but if you leave without the penny, you look like you're too good to wait for a penny, or like as if it seems rude. I don't need that penny, as if that's sort of embarrassing as well. So the sketch was me worrying about that. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then Sean Burke was the other actor, and Sean's really funny in it. And yeah, so the idea is I'm worrying about something stupid. Then what I think about all the bad things that could happen, and then what actually happens is even worse than what I worried about. That's the sketch. So after we'd made them, a few months later, it was Ben, who was the director of that sketch, said that Pulp had asked him to make more stuff. He didn't really want to make more sketches. He wanted to make something that felt a bit more like a series.
Yeah. That
would be like the same character, so that people would watch one and then want to watch the next one. So he asked me if I could. He told me he liked the penny sketch and asked me if I could write 10 of them.
Yeah.
So 10 sketches where I'm the same sort of character, worrying about something stupid.
Yeah.
Imagining what could happen, and then something bad, even worse, happens. Yeah. So that was the initial idea. It wasn't actually my idea. It was Ben's suggestion based on Ben's idea based on my idea.
Yeah.
Ben's idea to do more of my idea. That's yeah. That was the idea. But then as we talked about it, we did like the idea of it being more. Initially, it was 10 sketches. Then, as we developed it, it sort of turned into more of a series, and then more like a sitcom. And then we started thinking of it as a different way. So, although the idea was to write it so that each scene still works as a sketch, as just a self-contained thing, but that they all sort of fit together.
Yeah.
That it feels like the same characters in the same sort of world.
Yeah.
So it feels like a sitcom more than unrelated scenes. So that's how it came to be.
Yeah. And do you reckon that YouTube now, rather than YouTube in the beginning, helps comedians rather than hinder them? If like, what I mean is that, like, the stuff they produce on YouTube, do you reckon that's helping? So as well with you, but do you reckon it'll help people's careers move forward, or do you reckon it'll make them stuck in this sort of loop of doing things yourself?
Yeah, I think there's ups and downs. I think what's great is being able to just make your own stuff and get people to see it, and that it's easy to forget what life was like before that was possible. So it's great. It's great to be able to make your own stuff and build your own audience. The downside of the internet is because of algorithms and everything. Can determine what people actually see. So then there's you can spend a lot of time making something that you think is really good, and it won't do as well as something that's rubbish, because the rubbish thing fits the algorithm better. It's the right length, or it's about a subject that will make people angry and will get comments, and so then you end up trying to make stuff that you still think is funny, but that will fit an algorithm in some way to get people's attention, to get more views, and that becomes frustrating because then you sort of that's sort of dictating what you're doing. You're thinking, oh, I've got this great idea for a joke, but it's not going to do well on the algorithm, so I don't really want to spend a lot of time making it, I should make something that's topical, that might do better, even though it's not as funny, you know. And so, and I think there's a lot of talk at the moment about Instagram Reels, where stand-ups are putting that much of their stand-up online, because to do well, you don't just have a good clip. You need to be like a regular presence.
Yeah.
So instead of working on a routine for months or years, even, you get a really great routine, which is what comedians used to do.
Yeah.
Comedians, I feel like they want to like just churn out material that quickly, so they can be putting on new videos every day, which means they aren't developing routines in the same way. So you're trading quality for quantity.
Yeah.
So overall, yeah, I think internet, YouTube, social media, it's all great because it means comedians can make their own stuff and can build their own audience, and audience can find more stuff of the comedians they like, rather than just have to watch what's on telly. They can, you know, choose more. But you know, there are downsides in terms of how the internet determines what comedians make, which is a shame. But I think it's still, everything's always changing as well on the internet. This thing of comedians putting loads of stand-up clips feels very recent, and I don't think it's going to stay like that. I think after a while, audiences will just be so bored of seeing every stand-up clip. You know, they'll stop doing as well on Instagram Reels, and something different happen.
Yeah, and with having stuff on YouTube, like if you generate a sketch and you put it out, sometimes, in my experience, it doesn't always do well. Not as well as numbers of them. It's not always a good idea. So I did one which was 50 seconds called Elephant in the Room, because as you can probably tell, there's for viewers watching on YouTube, I've got an elephant, and so I went, you don't talk about the elephant in the room, disappeared, and then did a voiceover of the elephant saying, no one talks to me, and that was it. It was like 58 seconds, and I spent ages filming it, uploading it, realising I've used the wrong elephant, and I had to then find the correct elephant, and then I had to get confused why elephants don't have tusks, and then they do have tusks. I spent ages looking at elephants for a 58-second video.
Yeah,
and it didn't pay off, as in not many people saw it. It did mean now I'm just stuck with an elephant on my shelf because I can't be bothered moving it. Yeah. And do you reckon that with stand-up shows, like full stand-up shows, like used to be on VHS, DVD, and do you reckon now that they're going on to YouTube, do you reckon that hinders the comedian, or does that help the comedian in a way, because people watching this for free rather than spending like £6 or £7 on a DVD for it?
It is tricky, because you always think if you're wanting to make money from doing something creative, how are you going to make money if you just give it away for free? But at the same time, people who do make a lot of stuff for free build a larger audience, and then that does turn into people paying for stuff further down the line. You would think if there was loads and loads and loads of footage of you online doing stand-up, you would think, well, why would anyone need to see me live then, if they know it's going to be on YouTube anyway? But it's the opposite. If people see you on YouTube, they want to see you live, you know? I mean, the stand-up comedians are on telly all the time. No one thinks, oh, I don't need to go and pay to see Jimmy Carr live because he's on telly. You know, no one thinks like that. People say, I will pay to see Jimmy Carr live because he's on telly all the time. You know, the more familiar you are with someone because of how much you see them. does lead to, you you're getting money.
And with the rise of Next Up Comedy, do you think they're a helpful tool within it because they're for people that are unable to attend live or like with the Fringe, the streaming the Fringe? Do you reckon that's a useful tool to either grow your audience or to make comedy more accessible?
Yeah, it must be. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're a comedian yourself, it's easy to forget that not everyone goes to a comedy club 3 nights a week. It's easy to forget that, I mean, I'm from Cumbria, so which is the countryside.
Yeah.
So going to a regular comedy gig, if I still lived in Cumbria, would be such a to do. Yeah. So yeah. So if I still lived in Cumbria and wasn't a comedian, there's no way I'd be able to see stand up as often as I wanted to live. The internet's the way I would see most comedy. So yeah, I think it's easy. It's easy for a comedian to forget that. So yeah, so obviously, anything that helps people see stand up.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
And so with your Edinburgh Fringe show, do you think that one day you'll get to film one of your shows for people that want to see it that can't attend the Fringe, because not every comedy club's able to bring in their comedy to film?
No, of course, yeah. I hope so. 3 years now, I have filmed my show, and every year, it just worked out that it was one of the quietest shows of the. It was just bad luck. I had like a really great show on a Wednesday. I was really happy with it, and then the guy with the camera came on the Thursday, where it was the quietest audience. And even though the show was still all right, I knew myself that it wasn't one of the better performances.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, this is okay, this isn't how I wanted to remember the show. I know the show was better than this, and I thought about editing it into like clips and social media, and just never got around to it. And now it's July, and I'm doing another show. So now I kind of think, well, I don't care. The show's gone. I don't need to. I'm happy. I'm happy thinking you do a show to get better yourself as a comedian, so that your next show is even better, and that your next show is better than that one. I don't think you need. You don't. It's the wrong attitude to think you do if you don't release a recording. You might think, well, I've nothing to show for that show.
Yeah.
But that's the wrong attitude, because actually what you've got better as a comedian, and the people who did see the show, they remember it fondly. So it's the shows I've still got written that haven't recorded or haven't released.
Yeah.
I hope I can find something to do with that material, somewhere down the line, get a chance to record stuff properly. Or even if it wasn't the whole show, just take the greatest hits of those shows and make one much stronger hour. I think that'd be a better thing to do than just release an hour that I didn't think was as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Although what we're saying about the internet rewarding quantity rather than quality, maybe I've got that wrong, and maybe I should release a show that I don't think is good just because it's footage. It's if I couldn't cut it up, that's cut them up into minute-long clips. That's 60 videos I've already got. So it's just a case of me doing that and doing that editing there. But we'll see.
So coming toward the end of this excellent interview, might I add, what is the process like to create your Edinburgh Fringe poster?
I can't really take credit for my posters. A poster well done by someone called Paul Banks at Peril Design, who I recommend if anyone wants their poster done. Paul Banks at Peril Design. He's very good. I tell him what my title is, and I send him some photos of myself, and then he just does something. He seems to get an idea. He's very creative like that. I never really have an idea for my poster. This year, this year I knew I needed new photos of myself taken anyway for standard publicity, like my Twitter avatar and for posters and comedy gigs.
Yeah,
I started to get embarrassed that everyone else's photo looked more professional than mine. You know, because I was still just using a photo of myself on stage with a microphone because I had a photo. You know, you do a gig, someone takes a photo, that'll do. Everyone else now is, you know, making a zany expression, whether in like a green screened out background. You know, everyone looks more professional. So I thought I need that. And I also knew that, embarrassingly, if you're a comedian, you can't just smile politely like a normal person would in a photograph. You can't just you've got to look wacky. You know, exactly. You have to look like a comedian. So what I went was big thumbs up. You know, that's that was what I decided on. So that's my poster now for the next 10 years. I'm just going to be in everything. So I sent that to Paul. My title, my title this year is Tom Little, the reliably funny comedian you want to see, which I know is an arrogant thing, but in Edinburgh you've got to stand out. You've got to find it. So that was my. I found. I think it's as funny to be really self-deprecating and call myself Tom Little, the worst comedian who's ever lived or whatever. I mean, that's as funny, but I find that arrogantly over the top boasting seems to work better than being self-deprecating. People can believe you too much if you see your rubbish. So I think the combination of the photo I sent Paul and the title set something off in his imagination that to do the most mainstream poster he could possibly do. Because I'm not the most mainstream comedian, I don't think, but he thought that sounded like a parody of a mainstream comedian. So Paul came up with, we'll just do this as if I'm Michael McIntyre or as if I'm Mickey Flanagan or something. No disrespect to either of those, but to deliberately sort of borrow from that kind of format.
Yeah.
So the naming lights and big bright colours.
Yeah.
So that was Paul's idea, and he's done it really well. So that's how he came up with the poster. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I get to see you on Edinburgh Unlocked, which is a BBC Scotland show where Mark Nielsen does a roundup of the Fringe and then has different people. He has I can't remember what he's called, but he has the Scottish blind comedian go around to watch shows. So he went in one of the ones he went to go and watch a yoga comedian, like a comedy yoga show, but he's blind. So the whole premise is he goes to watch it and then talks to him afterwards, and they have to try and explain what they've just done on stage and see what he's missed.
Yeah.
And so he went to go watch Train Spotting because he did a live version of not with the film cast but just with a cast, and he had then asked him what did he miss, and because it was a interaction show and the audience interact with the show, it made it even funnier because he knew that he wasn't going to get the same enjoyment out of it, and they knew that this is an odd idea, but they all just go on with it anyway.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
So hopefully we see you on that, and hopefully returned because it's not been confirmed nor denied. So this is part of the show, the interview, just generally whenever which they're on about. This is the opportunity where you can let people know where they can find you, not your home address. Where
Correct.
can people track you down and get more of your goodness?
Yeah. I am at This Is Tom Little on most social media. That's This Is Tom Little, not Mrs. Tom Little, as someone once said. Yeah, so I'm This Is Tom Little on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads, which is the new thing. Threads. And my YouTube is just youtube.com/Tom Little. I got This Is Tom. I had to be This Is Tom Little on most of them because it was this other Tom Little. But I on YouTube I managed to be Tom Little. So
Well, that Threads to me sounds like Greg's.
Mm.
So there's a
Yeah.
similarity there. So there we have it. Another wonderful interview and another wonderful episode of Joking Apart. Will Joking Apart become as popular as Comedian with Stuart Goldsmith? Will this podcast become people wanting to come on rather than me have to ask? Because that's my goal. My goal to interview as many people as possible. But without, well, I like asking because I get to write an incredibly long message that sometimes when you try and message on that Instagram, I don't really use it, but I just use it to contact people. It says, this message is too long, which means, Tom, you've done too much. Slow down. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And remember, no, I've forgotten.